Hey bakers, Dave here, and in today's video, I'm going to try Josey Baker's Cinnamon Raisin bread. It seems easy, but can I bake like a pro today? Find out after the bump. Founder of the bakery, Josey Baker Bread, and co-owner of the mill, Josey Baker. Yes, that's his real name. Josey Baker is a bread baker, published author, teacher, public speaker, and business owner based in San Francisco. I've gotten bread from the mill a bunch of times when I lived in San Francisco. I recommend you check it out. It'll be worth your time. All right, let's take a look at the recipe from his book. This recipe is 3 parts: the Raisin Soak, Poolish, and dough. For the Raisin Soak, we need 120 grams of water and 70 grams of raisins. The Poolish is 100 grams of whole wheat flour, 120 grams of water, 2 grams of dry yeast. And for the dough, 375 grams of bread flour, 240 grams of water, 12 grams of salt, and 6 grams of cinnamon. Let's make the Poolish. Add the water to the bowl, and then the yeast and mix. Once that's done, add in the flour and mix it all together. Let it sit on the counter for 2 to 3 hours or in the fridge overnight. Now, I'm not doing a long Poolish instruction for this one, but here's a pro tip. Test your dry yeast for activity before using. To do that, dissolve a half teaspoon of sugar in a half cup of warm water and then stir in 2 teaspoons of dry yeast. Let it sit for up to 10 minutes, and if it bubbles and expands within that time, you're good to go. Otherwise, you might need to replace your yeast. For the Raisin Soak, and another pro tip, just add the raisins to the water and soak it for 20 minutes. That's it. Now, I already screwed up the recipe here. I forgot about that and did the Raisin Soak the day before. It really is a 20-minute job. Otherwise, the sugars and flavor drain out of the raisins, and we don't want that. Okay, now we're ready to bake. Add the water to your mixing bowl and then the Poolish and mix them together. Then add the raisins, cinnamon, and salt and mix it all together. Lastly, add the flour and mix it into a dough. Cover the bowl and let the dough double in volume. It took a few hours for me, and it could be longer or shorter for you. Just keep an eye on it. Once it is ready, put the dough on the counter and shape it into a log. Then add the dough to a bread pan and cover with aluminum foil. But leave room for the dough to rise. Then put the dough in the fridge overnight. Time to bake. Preheat the oven to 475 degrees for 30 minutes and take the loaf out of the fridge. When the oven is ready, put the loaf into the oven and bake with the aluminum foil on for 20 minutes. Then remove the aluminum foil and bake for another 15 minutes or until the loaf is a dark brown, which might take 5 or 10 more minutes than that. It took me an extra 10 minutes or 25 minutes total after removing the aluminum foil. I also ran into a little trouble with the aluminum foil in that I thought I had left enough room to rise, but it really wasn't. I lost some of my dough crust as a result. Lesson learned, next time give it much more room to rise. Once the loaf is done baking, leave it on the cooling rack for at least an hour before eating. Another pro tip, much like the rye bread, if you leave it in the pan, the crust will be more moist and soft, and if you take it out of the pan right away, the crust will be harder. This comes down to a personal preference, and for this one, I wanted the crust to be more firm. Let's slice it up and eat. Alright, the loaf looks like it turned out pretty good, but let's cut it open and see how it really turned out. The slices definitely look pretty good, but let's take a bite. I'm going to pull the side camera into selfie mode, and I hope the audio isn't too bad or massive shots of my face or something. We'll find out. Alright, I'm going to eat this. I don't even taste the cinnamon. Bitter? Yeah, there's something. It's not quite right. I I would say, or we would say, I guess, my wife does not want to be on camera, and my face is way up in the shot. Okay. It's, there's some kind of bitterness to it. I'm not tasting any sweetness from the cinnamon, so it's kind of going in the wrong direction there, in my opinion. I also tasted the salt a little, even though you didn't say, she didn't say she tasted it, and I was 99% certain that was going to be a thing. Alright, well, this was the first microwave beeping attempt. This was the first pass at making the pan loaf cinnamon raisin bread from Josey Baker's book, and I give myself a fail. I don't know if the recipe is or not. I'm going to try again, but not today. I'll do it in the future. I'll do another pass at this and see if I can do better next time.